You know, with the way the Yankees are playing right now, I would be remarkably surprised to see Aaron Boone last into next season. I think he's getting fired after this year. I mean, especially if we don't make the playoffs, which is starting to look like a reality. The Yankees went 12-13 in July. They've spiraled 2-7 in August. Managed to put together a complete game on Saturday night. Managed to barely beat the Astros, and then struggled yesterday mightily. I was there. Just an utterly listless performance. Never really got anything going. Aaron Judge doesn't look good. He's obviously still playing injured. I borderline don't think he should be in the middle of the lineup. I mean, he can't throw. He's got a bad shoulder. It has to be affecting his hitting. You can tell it's affecting his hitting in some way. So like this is a team where if you want offensive production, you should genuinely probably have, Giancarlo hitting third or fourth and then Judge hitting fourth or maybe even fifth. I mean, that's honestly where I would hit Judge with his shoulder in the shape it's in. If you're going to insist on him playing hurt, just hit him fifth so that he doesn't have to come up in those big situations, so that you take a little pressure off of him and get him fewer at bats. I mean, that's clearly the logic to moving him down to the 3 hole from the 2 hole where he usually is. But in the 3 hole, he's got too much responsibility. It's such a big stall to the offense to have a guy who isn't going to produce there in the 3 hole, or who you have a big risk of not producing. Put him down in the 5 hole. I guess you could do 4, but really, probably even lower in the lineup until he hits a home run and you realize that Aaron Judge is back, because we can't keep having him lay eggs hitting third and second in the order. But back to the main topic of the video. For a managerial position that doesn't change hands all too often, seems like about once a decade, the Yankees managerial position is a pretty volatile seat, mainly because it's under Brian Cashman. And that ejection yesterday, and just the way that Aaron Boone carries himself, and comparing him to like Joe Girardi, for example, and just how differently those two managers carried themselves, I think it speaks to the distance that Cashman actually keeps. I think a lot of fans don't understand this, that Cashman actually keeps between himself and his own roster. I really don't think Cashman is that involved with the players. I don't think that he goes down into the clubhouse that much, actually. I think that he lets the managers run the clubhouse so that he has some distance to, when something like this happens, when a season like this happens, to point at the manager and go, he's the one who screwed up. I made the roster. He was responsible for making the team play right, and he didn't do that. That's exactly what the narrative was around Girardi the season he was fired, and that's what the narrative is around Boone this year, because I'm sorry, but that isn't entirely wrong. If you actually want the smoking gun for the Yankees' struggles, yeah, they don't play great fundamentals, they don't run the bases well, and they don't field well. And those have been two trademarks of Aaron Boone's tenure, unfortunately, and is yet another reason why I think he's probably gone after this season. But the real smoking gun to the Yankees' struggles is the lack of starting pitching depth. Yeah, they don't have great fundamentals, but if this team had Garrett Cole, if this team had Carlos Rodon, I mean, if you had the Fried, Cole, Rodon rotation from the start of the year, who's to say how this team would have done? Who's to say how this bullpen would have performed the entire year with that much more cover? And I mean, this team is constantly falling behind early in games. And that's just part of having Cam Schlittler and Will Warren in the rotation. I'm sorry to be that disrespectful, but that's the way that it is. If you had the strong rotation that Brian Cashman put together for this team, that Brian Cashman assembled through spending a massive amount of money in free agency, by the way, like $700 something million on those 3 pitchers altogether, how can you blame Brian Cashman for that? Now, that's not Aaron Boone's fault either. And that's part of why it's so difficult to be the Yankees manager, because Brian Cashman creates this separation between himself and the clubhouse, himself and the actual field level operations of the team, so that he can point at the manager and say, it's not my fault. And that's part of why the coach turnover on this team is so high. For a long time, Cashman didn't want to replace Boone, because I think he likes a lot of things about Boone, the way that Boone manages, and especially how he manages to keep his cool in the media and how fiery he is on the field. That's a very likable thing about Aaron Boone when the Yankees are winning. But when we're losing, it just reeks of desperation, to be honest with you. And at this point, that's why it's kind of hard to watch Aaron Boone go out and scream at these umpires, because it's like, is he trying to save the team or is he trying to save his own job kind of thing? And the only way to do that is to start winning. And the Yankees need to start winning right now. I mean, they needed to start winning a month ago, but they've got to cut this off today, Monday, August 11th. They have to start hitting. They have to start getting better help from their bullpen. They have to start fielding better. They have to start getting clutch hits. More people have to step up. More people have to step up behind Judge. They have to actually recognize that even though Judge might be in the lineup, he isn't coming to the rescue. And I'll tell you, when you go to a game like I did yesterday, you spend half of the time, if you're the New York Yankees, standing out in the field, right? There's no Aaron Judge out there. For half that time, all the innings where the Astros were hitting, which yesterday, God knows, was the majority of the game, Aaron Judge, your captain, and such a large physical presence as well, is not standing out there with them on the field. They literally don't have their leader out there with them more than half of the game. And that has a mental effect on a baseball team. This team does feel leaderless right now. And it doesn't really seem like there's a super tight connection like a lot of elite athletes have with their manager between Aaron Boone and Aaron Judge. And I think that a really big priority for the Yankees, when and if they do find a new manager, is finding a manager who has ideal chemistry with Aaron Judge. Finding somebody who can get the best out of Aaron Judge, get the best out of the leader of the team and the leader of the clubhouse, so that this team can feel more complete. I know that the trade deadline was only 10, 11 days ago. So there's still, they brought in 6 new guys and they need to coalesce that group together. Now, a lot of those guys are sent down in AAA or on the IL already, so that might help a little bit. But they really need to focus on team chemistry with this group in the future and for the rest of the season. But especially in the future, because I don't know that this team is actually going to figure it out in this small 2-month time frame they have here to figure it out with this specific group of Yankees with this specific manager. They're not going to have that much time to figure it out. And they have a really, really tall task at this point of getting back into a playoff race that they have now fallen out of.